The tale of the prince who had everything and nothing. Once upon a time, there was a wealthy and powerful prince who had everything: money, fame, women, and luxury. Yet, despite having all that most people dream of, he felt empty inside. He had been told that more success, more admiration, and more pleasures would make him happy. But the more he chased them, the more meaningless his life felt. One day, the prince encountered a wise old man who told him, "The problem isn't that you lack anything. The problem is that you care too much about things that don't matter." The prince was confused. He thought caring was a good thing. The old man explained, "People waste their lives caring about things that won't bring them true happiness. What others think, chasing endless success, avoiding pain. But real freedom comes when you learn to care only about what truly matters." The prince, curious but skeptical, began to observe the world differently. He saw that those who seemed truly happy weren't the ones who had everything, but those who had learned to embrace their struggles and focus on what truly mattered to them. Answer: the prince made a decision. Instead of endlessly pursuing more, he would choose what to care about wisely. He stopped worrying about pleasing everyone and started living by his own values. And for the first time in his life, he felt free. The prince's awakening. As the days passed, the prince began to notice how much time and energy he had wasted trying to impress others. He had spent years chasing admiration, fearing failure, and avoiding discomfort. But now, he started asking himself, "Does this truly matter to me? Or am I just afraid of looking bad?" One day, the prince encountered a man in his kingdom, a poor fisherman who spent his days by the river, content with his simple life. Curious, the prince asked, "How can you be happy with so little?" The fisherman smiled. "Because I know what I care about. I love the river, I love my work, and I love my family. Everything else is noise." The prince thought about this deeply. He realized that his unhappiness came from giving too many fucks about things that didn't truly matter: status, wealth, and what people thought of him. The fisherman, on the other hand, only cared about what truly brought him joy. Determined to change, the prince stopped trying to control everything. He let go of his obsession with being perfect. He accepted that failure and struggle were part of life. And most importantly, he started making choices based on his true values, not what the world expected of him. With time, something incredible happened. He felt lighter. The anxiety that had followed him for years faded. He no longer feared making mistakes or disappointing others. One evening, as he sat by the river, watching the sun set, he smiled. He had finally learned the lesson the old man had tried to teach him. The key to happiness isn't in having more, but in caring less about the unimportant things, and more about the right things. Answer: the prince lived the rest of his life not as a man chasing endless success, but as someone free from the burden of trying to be everything for everyone. He had found peace, simply by choosing what to give a fuck about. The prince faces resistance. At first, the prince's newfound mindset confused those around him. His advisors whispered, "Has he gone mad? Why does he no longer seek more power?" His rivals smirked, believing he had grown weak. Even his closest friends questioned him. One day, a nobleman approached him, saying, "Your Highness, you seem to care less about expanding the kingdom, winning wars, and maintaining your reputation. Shouldn't these things matter to you?" The prince thought for a moment, then replied, "I used to believe that. But tell me, how much is enough? How many victories will finally satisfy me? How much wealth will make me feel whole?" The nobleman had no answer. Still, resistance grew. His enemies saw an opportunity to strike, thinking the prince's new outlook made him vulnerable. One of his generals warned him, "If you stop caring about dominance, you will lose everything." But the prince had not stopped caring. He had simply started choosing what to care about. Instead of fearing what others thought, he focused on protecting his people, ensuring fairness, and finding peace within himself. The prince's first true battle. One day, an army from a neighboring kingdom invaded his lands. His enemies believed he would be too weak to fight back. But the prince, calm and focused, prepared his troops. When his general asked, "Do you not fear losing?" the prince answered, "Fear. I used to fear losing status, looking weak, or disappointing others. But now, I only care about what is truly important, protecting my people. That is a battle worth fighting." With this clarity, the prince led his army not out of ego, but out of purpose. He did not fight for glory, but because it truly mattered. His soldiers, inspired by his newfound wisdom, fought bravely, and the invaders were defeated. The victory was different from any he had known before. It wasn't about power. It was about protecting what he valued. The prince's legacy. Years passed, and the prince's reputation changed. He was no longer seen as the ruler obsessed with proving himself. Instead, he became known as the king who ruled with focus and purpose. People came from distant lands to seek his advice. They asked, "How can we be happy?" He always gave the same answer: happiness is not found in chasing everything. It is found in choosing the right things to care about, and letting go of the rest. As he grew older, he watched his kingdom flourish, not because he had controlled everything, but because he had freed himself from the need to. And when his final day came, he did not fear death. He smiled, knowing he had lived not for approval, not for endless success, but for what truly mattered. And in that, he had found peace. The king's final lesson. As the king lay on his deathbed, his advisors, family, and friends gathered around him. Some wept, others looked troubled, but the king himself was at peace. One of his oldest advisors, a man who had served him since his youth, leaned in and asked, "Your Majesty, after all these years, do you have any regrets?" The king smiled faintly. "Only one," he said. "That I did not learn sooner to stop caring about things that did not matter." His son, the prince who would soon take the throne, stepped forward. "Father, how will I know what is worth caring about?" The king took a deep breath and answered, "Ask yourself this: if I lost everything tomorrow, what would still be important? What struggles am I willing to endure, even if they bring no reward?" The answers to those questions will show you what truly matters. The prince nodded, deep in thought. The world moves on. When the king finally passed, the people mourned. But they also remembered him not for his wealth or power, but for the wisdom he had shared. Stories of his transformation, from a restless young prince to a wise and peaceful ruler, spread throughout the land. His son, now king, ruled with the same clarity, choosing his battles wisely, caring only for what was worth his energy, and letting go of the rest. And so, the legacy of the king lived on, not through riches or conquests, but through the simple truth he had learned. In the end, life is short. So give a FCK about only the things that truly matter.